Without any further ado, can I introduce Senator Maralyn Chase?
Sorry, it's a minefield up here.
That's all right, just put it in there so we can. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks very much. You are awesome. We've been trying for a long, long time to get something like this going, and you are doing, and while I've been down playing in Olympia, you've had 9 meetings. What I want to talk to you about today, just briefly, is income inequality. And if I had a little more time, I would talk about wealth inequality. And just so you know, I'm a birdie person.
Sorry.
Okay, so I talk a lot about income inequality and wealth inequality in this state because it's really pretty bad. So what I'm trying to do in the floor of the Senate, which is difficult, I might add, since we're not in the majority, so I'm not able to prevail on very much, but I get a lot of work done. This is a chart many of you may have seen. I hope everyone has a copy of it. And it shows who's paying the taxes.
How do you get that?
Pardon me?
Where can you get that on the web?
You can go to 2 places. You can go to my website in Olympia, or you can go to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. These are not funny money numbers or anything. This is the real deal. So if you notice, you will see that, oh, and just so you know too, these are working families. We're not talking about people whose personal income is a transfer payment or a retirement payment. We're talking about people who are working. And who's paying the taxes. So if you look, you will see that the lowest 20%, up here, let's do the green first. You know, the lowest 20% of our working families are paying almost 17% of their income in taxes. We are number 1. Give yourselves a pat on the back. If you live here, this is a real, and you're among the working poor, this is a high tax state. But if you live here and you're one of the billionaires, this is a low tax state. So just so you can see what's happening. And this is statewide. I want to emphasize this is statewide. This is not just in the Puget Sound corridor or someplace else. It's statewide. So then I want to call your attention to another chart that's in here. And there's some more here. You can read this. I don't need to go over this. You can read this. This is a map of each county. The counties that are in yellow are the ones who get back less than what they pay in taxes. Everybody's paying $1, and most of the time counties will get back money. But King County gets back 65 cents. For every $1 we pay, we get back 65 cents. But Stevens County, up in the northeast corner of the state, gets back almost $2. So when you hear people saying, if you don't give us another tax exemption, we're going to take our business to Idaho or to Oregon, where their taxes are lower. And I say, don't let the door hit your butt on the way out. But if you go back over here, look at their tax system. Much fairer than what we've got. Almost straight across. Little bits of dips. They have a tax system that is much more equal than what we have here in this state. So before we went down, now you will see if you look over here on this one. I like this one. This will show you the counties in yellow are the donor counties. The counties in green are the receiver counties. Okay? So before we went down to the session this last time, some of my colleagues from East Valley in Spokane introduced a new bill. They wanted to separate the state of Washington right down the ridge of the Cascade Mountains. And Liberty would take everything east of the ridge, and Cascadia could take everything west of the ridge. Again, I say don't let the door hit the bus on the way out. Because, you know, they can't support themselves. And for any number of reasons. It's not, I mean, there are any number of reasons. But if you take a look back at this chart, when I say working families in this state are paying 17%, that's statewide. It's statewide. There are a lot of low-income working families in King County, but there are a lot of low-income families all in the state of Liberty. You know? Yeah. It's true. It's true. This is an opportunity that we have that we've really never had before, you know, to make progress in one Washington. Because it's not about where you live, it's how much money you make that determines what your station in life is. It's not in Cascadia and it's not in Liberty. So it's the poor people of this state, the entire state, who are paying the bills, who are trying to educate the children, who are trying to provide for the infrastructure, who try to provide for the safety net. Because the rest of them aren't paying. You know, think about it. When people are not paying their fair share, it means they have been exempted from the tax rolls. They've been exempted, so they're not paying. The few of us who are still paying, we have a tax base, by the way, of about $75 billion. That's the big, that's where we can collect taxes. But we have given, in our wisdom, not me, I've fought them for years, but we have given away $40 billion in tax exemptions. And so we collect about $35 billion in revenue to run the state. We give away more of our tax base. We give away about $7 billion more in our tax base than what we collect. And you wonder why we don't have enough money to educate our children? We've given it away. There are about, there are two tax exemptions. One is intangible property, and another is, what is it, other kinds of things. The other amounts to about $4 billion. The rest of it are intangible property, stocks and bonds, royalties, that kind of thing. The Constitution says all property, tangible and intangible, will be taxed at the same rate. But we took the intangible off the tax rolls. That's why we don't have enough money. There is plenty of money in the tax base. Plenty of money in the tax base. But if you give it away and you enforce income inequality and a bad distribution of wealth, you know, this is what you're going to get. So this is what we're fighting on right now. I'm so glad that you're here. You know, Bernie was in favor of talking about income inequality and the inequality about the distribution of wealth. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. But together we all can do something about it. So I'm so glad you're here. I can take, if any of you have any big questions you want answered, I can take maybe five minutes or so. Yeah.
Should I stand in front of the mic?
Yeah, go by the mic so everybody can hear you.
Okay. Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I have a question. My husband is a business owner. We don't make a lot of money. And recently, we were on Medicaid for a long time, and we were on a bonded program which reduces your rent because we live on the east side. Rent is ridiculously high. And we're in the process, we're kicked off all of the state programs saying that we make too much. We don't. The problem is they're going off of his, the total income for the business, which we don't take home. We're trying to figure out what went wrong. Do you know if there's any bills that got passed? Why, you know, working business owners like our family are being hit really hard, and Our lease is up in July, and we're like really concerned and scared because we don't have enough money to pay the increased rent, and we don't have enough money to move anywhere, so we're stuck.
So let me tell you what I think about that. I ordinarily talk about the taxes I don't like, but it takes me about 40 minutes to demolish the tax system, maybe 30 minutes. But the worst, most regressive tax that we've got is this B&O tax. It's got to go. It's got to go. We're the number one. Another instance of number one. We're the only state in the entire United States that taxes the gross revenue on businesses. And that's where our businesses, if they're thriving, and we don't drive them out of business with either taxes or regulation, that's where people go to work. What sense does it make? And about 95% of all the jobs in this state come from small businesses, just like hers, just like yours. But if you put people out of business by taxing them, what kind of economic recovery are you going to get? Just exactly what we've got. They say that unemployment is the lowest it's ever been. Well, I wonder how many people are not being counted. That's right. So.
My name is Nicole. I am the social media and internet admin organizer. With your permission, I'd like to just do a real quick video for Twitter. If I can just have you do 30 seconds, your name, what you're here to do, and we will spread on the internet.
Well, why don't you wait and we can record it later?
Got it.
Okay? I mean, I'd be glad to do it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I love getting on TV. And I can talk, anytime I get a chance to talk about this stuff, I will take it. Okay, go ahead.
What's your position on an income tax?
I'm the champion of the income tax. The reason for the first time since I've been down there that I did not introduce an income tax, and I may yet, this is the first time I've not. And the reason I didn't is because every time we put an income tax proposal out to the voters, they turn it down. And the reason they turn it down is because they don't know what the tax system is. That's right. And so I am dedicated to going around this state with my little charts and educate people on what the tax system is. They don't know how unfair it is. And so when we go out with, and that's called plowing the ground. Before you've got to educate people. And if we don't do that ahead of time, it's one of the reasons I'm here. Because I think that if we can get enough people in our state to help plow the ground on what our tax system actually is and how really bad it is, we'll have a better chance of getting an income tax through. And let me tell you one thing more, that of the people who are left paying the $35 billion, every time the legislature gives another tax exemption to the people who are in the 40 billion, the taxes go up. Because we have to have the money. Somebody's got to pay the taxes. And every time we do that, we recruit another soldier for Tim Eyman's army. We've got to figure this out. We've got to stop it. But the reason it happens is because nobody knows what the tax system is, including my colleagues.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Follow-on question to the lady just asked, is there a way that you could attach a rider to the education bill that this would have to be,
I'm doing more than that. We've got all these intangible taxes out there. Who owns the stocks and the bonds and gets the royalties and the IP, all that kind of stuff? Those people need to start paying their fair share of the taxes. So you can put those kinds of things on. But it wouldn't do any good to put a rider on the income tax.
No, I meant as part of the education bill, that would be a class that they'd have to take and pass it.
People are putting in, I haven't put in the income tax bill. I'm saving that because my colleagues will not like that, because they do not want people to think that we are, in my party, which I understand you're not there, we are known as the income tax party, and the other side gets up and they say, every one of you over there wants an income tax. Well, that's not true, actually. And no, we don't. And so then what he did, he went back into the records, where you can see where we've introduced stuff, and he made copies and sent them around to everybody, saying that we are in favor of the income tax, but we just haven't done it yet. we've got a lot of options. There's a capital gains tax, which is taxing the sale of stocks and bonds. It's a sales tax, it's not an income tax. But I say, well, why not go after the intangible taxes? There are three components of personal income. One, you sell your labor, or you have property that makes money for you, or you live on a transfer payment, a pension or Social Security or the like. The section of personal income that is growing the most rapidly is this property income. You own stocks and bonds, you own royalties, you own intellectual property, none of which is taxed. The fastest growing component of personal income. We need to get that word out. And there's no justification for that, in my opinion.
My question was that, my original question was there's a bill in Olympia to even out the tangible and intangible. Has that gotten any traction?
My bill. They don't want to talk about it.
What bill is it?
I don't do numbers very well. You can look on my the page there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not really a question, but I wanted to address your assumption that people who vote against income tax is because we don't understand the taxes and how they affect people in the state of Washington. Some of us definitely understand that, but we've seen places like Springfield, Missouri, where they had a sales tax and they opted to start an income tax and started it at a certain income level. And they even lowered the sales tax to sell this to the people. And ever since that gap between the two is shortened, the sales tax goes up and the income tax level comes down. Many of us might be fearful of that in the state of Washington.
I don't blame you. You know, when the sales tax was first put on everything in 1931, the agreement was that we would take some of the stocks and bonds off of the intangible property tax rolls, and in exchange there would be an income tax instituted. And what happened is that they got the tax exemption and then did not institute the income tax. And there was the most massive turnover of any legislature in the entire country in that year. I think they lost all but 6 people in the legislature. You can't, that's why I like what you're doing here. You know these little cards? I mean, I get the cards. Most of them we can't answer because you don't put an address on. It might be nice, or an email. I've got a little card. I can answer you back with my little card. That's very important. I'll tell you how we got 2 bills. We got the levy cliff bill through. I don't know if you saw we in the Democratic caucus, we were getting fed up with the other side that wouldn't bring it to the floor for a vote. And so we decided that the person who in their speech is on the floor used levy cliff the most times that they would win something. It turned out it was Almond Roca. So we started talking about levy cliff this and levy cliff that and trying to get it out in. And they began to understand. They got really mad at me because I was talking about a memorial to Congress to fund NOAA so we could fund the fish hatcheries. Because all the children, I hear from the children in my district that they love those fish hatcheries. They really do. They must go to field trips or something. But one other thing that they love as much is they like their schools and they want the levy cliff funded. Bang, bang. But it was that kind of talk on the floor. But more than that, the cards and letters and the phone calls and the emails practically shut down the other side. So while you may think that your work in contacting people down there, don't do it to me, please. But it works, because if their emails are locked up and the phones are locked up, and they know that their voters, they like to be in the legislature, and their voters are really angry about this, and they figure out it's just going to be torture for them. That's the only way they brought it up. And there are some teachers over there, by the way. And I think, we don't know yet who it was, but we think the teachers came around. So I can't begin to tell you how important it is that you participate now more than ever. Because you think that all of this is going on in DC, it's not all there. It's right here in Olympia. It's right here. So thank you very much.
So, Senator, if there was one thing that you could encourage everybody in this room to do to fix this problem of regressive taxes in Washington State, what would you encourage people to do?
Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your neighbors. Start talking about the system. Now, I work with the Department of Revenue. So my numbers you can take to the bank. You can take to the Department of Revenue because they're really good. They're very careful. You can start picking these things up from the webpage as we get them produced. They're a little bit, they've got good charts and everything. I love them dearly, but sometimes their words are a little bit too involved. That's why it's taking us a little longer to get the rest of them. Pull them off and go door to door. Go door to door. Now, in our district, I'll have to admit, most of us want an income tax. But we have to educate people on these issues. The same goes for any other issue. You've got to start building community to talk to your neighbors, to understand we are in a struggle to save democracy. Make no mistake. Our very way of life here is at danger. So.
Thank you so much. Senator Chase really has been one of our staunchest advocates for progressive values in Washington State. Had the pleasure of working with her during the Bernie campaign in the primaries and also with Initiative 735 to overturn Citizens United, get big money out of politics. She was with us from the